The Galactic test, the Galactic Council chamber was filled with whispers, subtle gestures, and the cold expectation of another lesson for upstart humanity. As the meeting's old rituals wound down, Captain Isabel Torres stood with her small group before the great seats of 12 ancient species. The official announcement came with practiced grandeur. Earth was being granted candidate status. But every alien there knew it was a test dressed up as an invitation. Torres kept her face neutral as the Council's hegemony ambassador. Fricks read the terms. Humanity would receive one decommissioned warship, the dominance left over from some old border war, a collection of salvage. Basic star charts, no support, no allies. Survive 1 year in the wild borderlands, and humanity could earn full membership. Fail, and they would be forgotten. Crick's translator flattened the content in his voice, but it was clear. The trial was a tradition. Most species failed, picked off by pirates, raiders, or the elements. The ones who survived did so by crawling back to the council, begging for help. But Torres only nodded. She had seen what her crew could do with a broken shuttle and duct tape. She was ready for whatever game the galaxy threw at them. Her crew was a ragtag bunch, united by stubbornness and creativity. Chief Engineer Rafael Rodriguez was already running calculations, his mind turning over possibilities for the battered ship. Weapons specialist Mina Kim, former orbital artillery, eyed the Dominance's ancient guns with a kind of hungry delight. Ife Okafer, the shipwright, moved her hand along the hull and whispered, "We'll make her dance again." When Torres and her crew first boarded the Dominance, the scale of the challenge was immediately clear. Rust streaked the bulkheads. Power cables sparked and fizzed. The main engine core ran at a miserable 12%, threatening to blow the whole thing apart at any second. The Council's gift was a death sentence painted as an opportunity. But that's not how humans work. Torres told herself. They got right to work, tearing the ship apart and rebuilding from the inside out. Rodriguez salvaged coils from failed reactors and spliced them with Earth-standard parts. Kim disassembled the plasma cannons, finding a way to use cheap metals in place of the missing alien crystals. Okafer, working with what she called controlled chaos, welded odd patches of hull into a strange, angular armor less pretty, but twice as strong. The Council's observers shook their heads in disbelief, reporting back that the humans were wasting time with improvised nonsense. Crick set another warning. Understand, the raiders out there do not care for your resilience. They see only weakness. Torres responded, then they'll see something new before we're done. For months, the humans worked in shifts, driven by the hope of proving everyone wrong. They named their new ship the Resilience. Where the Dominance had been a tired relic, the Resilience was becoming a legend, odd, patched, ugly, but undeniably alive. Scrap into strengths 6 weeks into the mission, the Resilience barely resembled its former self. Gone were the sleek, symmetrical lines favored by the hegemony. The hull now jutted at odd angles, bristling with strange spines and plates welded in unpredictable patterns. The Council observers called it an eyesore, but Okafer saw beauty in its defiant asymmetry. Every patch had a purpose, and every exposed cable told a story. Rodriguez's new hybrid reactor, built from cannibalized alien tech and raw human ingenuity, hummed with steady power. It was twice as efficient as the original, with redundancies no alien engineer would have thought necessary. Kim's new weapons suite featured railguns, beam arrays, and a battery of missile tubes, all cobbled together from parts never meant to work side by side. 1 week, the water recycler failed during a sandstorm on the surface of Gesh 4. Instead of panicking, the crew set up makeshift filtration using scavenged pipe and repurposed fuel membranes. They even found a way to use the planet's own acidic rain and the coolant loops. No problem was unsolvable, only untried. One night, Okafer intercepted a message meant for a council spy. There was a saboteur aboard. Instead of confrontation, Torres decided to turn the tables. They created a false emergency, venting plasma and simulating a reactor overload, while secretly locking down the ship's real systems. The saboteur was caught in the act and ejected at the next council station with a warning, "Send us your best. We'll only get stronger." The ship was soon tested by scavengers. Small pirate ships, expecting easy prey, found themselves on the wrong end of wild counterattacks. They had programmed the weapons to fire in unpredictable, rapid patterns, never giving attackers a rhythm to exploit. Rodriguez set the ship's shields to rotate frequency and polarize in weird sequences, bouncing enemy shots back at odd angles. Every encounter left the Resilience more famous, more feared. Word began to spread among the border colonies. The humans were doing the impossible. With its ship the Council had written off as junk. The Void Hunter strike, it happened on a cold, empty edge of the nebula known as the Maw. The Resilience picked up 12 blips on long-range sensors. The Void Hunters, notorious raiders who had terrorized the border for generations, had arrived. Their leader, Voss, sent a single transmission, voice dripping with arrogance. "Surrender your ship and cargo. Human. Resistance will mean your destruction." Captain Torres didn't hesitate. "This is the Resilience. You have 10 seconds to withdraw, or you'll see something you won't forget." The Void Hunters laughed. Their ship swarmed in, aiming to encircle and cripple the Resilience with coordinated fire. But the battle didn't go as planned. Kim fired every weapon in a rotating, never-repeated sequence railgun, plasma, missile, then suddenly electromagnetic pulse. Shields flickered and shifted color, soaking up blasts and then going dark just long, enough to trick the raiders into targeting dead spots that weren't really there. The Resilience spun, dove, and twisted through the Hunter formation, using its asymmetrical hull to deflect shots and create blind spots. O'Kafer's jury-rigged armor bounced projectiles or let them pass through dead space, rendering the enemy's best shots useless. Rodriguez activated a meltdown in the reactor, venting clouds of ionized gas and fake debris. The Hunters went for the kill, only to find themselves caught in the wake of a sudden powerful blast from the ship's hidden gravitic catapult, a last-ditch defense system no one saw coming. In 20 minutes, half the Void Hunter fleet was disabled or destroyed. The remaining ships fled, broadcasting a desperate warning: "Don't engage the human ship. It fights like nothing else in the galaxy." The Council's observers sent frantic messages. "Report, how did you survive? How did you win?" Torres replied with a thin smile. "You thought that was an attack? Let us show you one. Galactic shockwaves. The battle at the Maw changed everything." News of the Resilience's victory spread to every corner of the Council. The ambassadors scrambled to downplay the incident. Some called it luck, others accused the humans of cheating. But there was no denying the truth. The impossible had become real. Council agents redoubled their efforts to undermine the human crew. At the next resupply stop, another sabotage attempt was thwarted, not by brute force, but by a clever series of decoy signals and automated security hacks. Invented by Rodriguez and Kim, the saboteurs found themselves locked in a cargo bay as Torres broadcast their confession to every Council listening post. Allies began to appear. Ships from minor species who had suffered under the Council's old rules sent encrypted messages. "Teach us. Help us. We want what you have." Torres answered everyone, sharing diagrams, instructions, and hope. The Void Hunters retreated. From every sector where the Resilience was rumored to be, pirate attacks in the borderlands dropped to almost nothing. The Council could not hide the truth. Secretly, they voted to correct their mistake by sending their own elite fleet to destroy the Resilience and silence the embarrassment before it grew any worse. On board, Torres and her crew prepared for the real test. They had just one last trick left: a new super weapon, secretly built from captured enemy debris, old blueprints, and their own relentless innovation. The ultimate comeback. The Council's warships arrived in force, broadcasting to all frequencies: "Humanity, we are here to rescue you from your own mistakes." But their real orders were clear: erase the Resilience and all evidence of Earth's Unbreakable will. Torres stood on the patched bridge, hands steady. Let's give them a show. The council's ships opened fire, sure of a quick victory. But the Resilience was ready. The super weapon, nicknamed the Heartbreaker, was a device unlike anything the galaxy had seen. A coordinated pulse that used enemy fire against itself, redirecting power through the Resilience's modular armor to overload attacking ship shields and safely disable them. The Council's elite found themselves helpless. Kim's weapons took out targeting arrays and engines with surgical precision. Rodriguez and O'Kafer triggered counterattacks that disabled self-destructs, leaving crews stranded but unharmed. Within an hour, the mighty fleet was drifting, powerless. Torres broadcast across every open frequency. Earth stands ready to build. To defend, to survive. You threw us into the fire and we built a forge. The Council had no choice. They granted humanity full membership, but the story was already bigger than any official announcement. Across the galaxy, engineers and dreamers whispered about the Resilience in her crew. Bold enemies reached out to become new allies, and as Captain Torres looked out from the battered bridge, she knew one truth. It was never about the test, or even the ship. It was about the spirit that couldn't be broken, and the legacy humanity had built one bolt. One wild idea, one impossible comeback at a time. End.